I now hand over the floor to Mr. Ramraj Narasimhan of RIMES for the same.
Thank you very much, Ruby. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Right. I think the session has ended bang on time, and thanks very much to Abhas for doing this. Can we put on the slide deck? I'm just going to present some of the feedback in terms of the survey that has been conducted and some stats. These are quick and dirty, so please excuse, these may change. But can you go on to the next one, please? So we've had 3 days, as Ruby has summed up. On day 1, we had 3 sessions. We focused on what the users need. We looked at making sense of forecasts, where we touched upon impact-based forecasting. We also then looked at catching up to the science, basically, where we talked about the improvements and the enhancements needed for numerical weather prediction. On day 2, next one, please, we had 2 sessions looking at skilling up the Hydromet services, where basically we talked about capacity development and the training efforts of the SAHF. And we also had session 5, which touched upon data, the need for observation systems. And today, that is the 3rd day of the technical session, we talked about regional collaborations. Now, if you look, can you go to the next one, please? On the opening day, we had a total of 133 participants. If you could see, they are from across entire region and beyond. Obviously, some of them are panelists, but we had out of around 200 plus registrations, we had 133 participating, and rich representations from all the countries in the region. Next one, please. On day 1 of the technical sessions, again, we had a good number of participation. We had around 109 participants, richly represented from the region and beyond. Day 2, we also had very excellent participation yesterday, 165 people from across a wide spread across the globe, actually. Next one. Specific feedback that came after the polls conducted after each session are presented. The first one focused on what users need. Obviously, a lot of them thought that the length of the session was most appropriate. A significant number actually spoke about it being quite right. But then a few also felt that it was a bit too short and a little time was needed. That was about 10%, and a little more time was needed for presentations too. Some people felt under 10%. Next one. The relevance of the session 1 in articulating the user needs, the need for users to be considered in designing specific weather and climate information products came out resoundingly well. Everybody thought, yes, the need was very clearly articulated. The next one. And some of the key words that came up when we talked about what is required to enhance this connectivity between the users and the providers. You can see the word map there. It's talking about the need for enhancing accuracy, but also reliability and the communication to be enhanced. Next one. How to improve the public weather services for best economic development. Resounding response is for forecast-based action and for enhanced data sharing, all of these which are covered, including in the previous session. Next one. Next, please. So it's quite interesting that of all those that responded, they felt both online and offline actually helps. And both are equally effective. So that means there is a future to conducting such conferences, even on a hybrid mode. Next one. The second session, looking at making sense of forecasts. Next. Here, we looked at the length of session. Quite a lot felt that, yes, it was the right length, but a few also felt that more time is needed for discussions. Next, please. Whether it articulated the need for enhanced IBF? Yes. Resounding answer was yes. Of all those that responded, all of them said yes. It definitely made the case for IBF. Next. And what are the two key gaps in the interface mechanisms? Here you talk about collaboration, technology, and resources in the word map that came up. Next one. And thoughts for relevance of institutional mechanisms, whether what was presented was actually useful, or so it became like it's very evident that it was not just relevant, it was very relevant, and there was an excellent awareness generated. Next, please. On catching up to science, next. The length, resoundingly yes. It was a packed session, but yes, I think all the speakers and the panelists did justice to the topics. So the length was seen quite appropriate. Next. And what is needed to utilize the available data from the centers? Now, cooperation, collaboration, and further capacity development, including as one of the participants put up in the chat in the previous session. Yes, capacity development is vital, and that's why it forms a focus of one of the working groups. Next one, please. And what are the priority needs in the region? It came data sharing, data, floods. These are some of the priority needs to improve. Next, please. And what are the processes by which the NMHs could leverage the current existing resources and strengths to improve their forecasting? Resounding responses on capacity development and for making use of shared resources. The next one, please. And yes, quite a lot were not just satisfied, but very satisfied with the content of the session. Next, please. Session 4 focused on skilling up. Actually, I removed the no responses, which came basically everybody was satisfied, and in quite a few were very satisfied of all those, and quite a lot responded on this session. Over half of the participants responded here. Next one, please. And the length, most people felt that it was right length, but around 26% said it was too short and we would need more time for discussion and for presentation. The next, please. This quality of Zoom, in fact, it was seen as quite satisfactory. Very satisfactory was 40% and satisfactory was 55%. So yeah, 95% of those that responded said the quality of Zoom in the conference was quite good for this session. Next, please. And when we looked at the content that is presented in the data, again, everybody said the content was very satisfactory or satisfactory. 60% were more or less satisfied and the rest were very satisfied. Next, please. The length, again, it was seen as a right length by around 80%, and a few took the other side that we do need more time for discussion, but an equal number said that, yeah, it was less time is needed actually. Next, please. And the Zoom quality, again, was seen to be quite satisfactory. 96% said either very satisfied or satisfied. The next. So when we looked also at the following, I mean, this is a tweet from one of the participants, probably live, also a screenshot from one of the interesting presentations linking the forecasters and the entire chain, basically. So we've had excellent numbers on the social media. The next, please. And again, summing up that, yes, it looks very simple, but it is not. That IBF in this Hydromet services, everybody has a role to play. Thank you. Next. Thanks a lot. And this was just a brief summation of what came up in terms of could stop the slide deck. It's just something that came up from the floor in terms of the responses. Since I think we have we are also right on time, I would like to invite Dr. Alice and Dr. Ramesh, who will have some certain questions to ask of. These were more numbers based, but then more live response from the participants on what they thought of SAHF design and the forum, its own design and conduct. So they would probably be asking this of certain stakeholders represented across in this conference. Over to you, Dr. Alice and Dr. Ramesh.
Thank you, Ramraj. So let's do it in a more interactive way. I will first start by recalling the objectives of this SAHF-III conference. Our three objectives were to agree on the design of the SAHF activities. The second objective was to deliberate and deepen the SAHF program's role in strengthening weather, water, climate services in countries and at the regional level. And our third objective was to share knowledge on innovation and evaluation of socioeconomic benefits of the Hydromet and climate services value chain as countries invest in Hydromet modernization and absorb emerging technological advancements over the next decade. So I'll be putting some general questions while Ramesh will be focusing on questions specific to executive committee and working group members. And for the general questions, I would like to ask participants and speakers, and panelists, everybody to just drop their comments and feedback in the Q&A box or in the chat, and I'll be following these comments. And we will be having a live discussion when Ramesh will ask the specific questions. So my first general question is, has the conference endorsed the design of SAHF activities? And if you please put your comments in the Q&A box or in the chat, and I'll be following and bringing some of these comments up. Over to you, Ramesh.
Thank you, Alice. Thanks, participants. We would like particularly panelists, working group members and EC members to comment on how conference has been able to endorse the design of SAHF activities. That is the general question. And many of you have been closely engaged with the SAHF program and activities as a strong partner as EC and working group member. And in your capacity as EC member, how do you find the design of SAHF annual conference, particularly SAHF-III? I invite any of the EC member to comment, please. Dr. Ali Sharif, may I invite you for your comments, please? Dr. Ali Sharif? Any of our working group member? Nadeem Saab?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Yes, I find this SAHF annual 3 very useful and informative, and I must congratulate and appreciate the Rhymes and your team. And of course, we have seen a lot of informations and shared knowledge with each other. And we look forward for such type of activities in the future. Thank you.
Wonderful. Any other working group member, EC member to air additional views and comments, suggestions? Or you can even consider responding to the additional point on how about the discussions during the last 3 days help to deliberate and deepen SAHF program on strengthening weather and water climate services in SAHF countries. Anybody on this point?
Dr. Ramesh, can
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ramesh. I would also like to thank the expert team from RIMES, World Bank, European Union, and other partner agencies for organizing the third South Asia Hydromet Annual Forum, and also all the panelists, presenters, and participants for their active participations, which made this forum a success. And to meet our regional requirements, I would like to highlight some of the things that we have discussed, which are very important to carry forward. To highlight that the data share platform currently under development by RIMES is an important step where high-resolution NWP products from ECMWF are accessible to regional countries, including more atmospheric and as well as marine-related informations could be added to enrich the platform. There could be other such platforms produced in the regional countries like INCOIS, IMD, and other regional institutions. And there are other ongoing such platforms like severe weather forecast programs initiated by WMO also provides important products. Due to numerous products developed for use and new products are being added and improvements are made day by day, we need hands-on training to explore and interpret the available products to maximize the utilization and producing customized products for local applications so that we may utilize all the existing products for the country-specific activities. And that is a very good. We have done a lot of things and discussions, and with this success, I think we will equip the National Meteorological and Hydrological Service to serve their nation's requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rashid. May I invite some comments from Shanti Kandel, please?
Thank you, Dr. Ramesh. So yeah, it was absolutely useful, and I hope it leads to the better coordination among us and strengthening our relationship and minimizing our gaps. I get to know some extra members from the different ENMHS within the SAHF countries and other experts, so that I could ask them, or we could exchange our knowledge and information among us. Yeah, it was very useful. Thank you.
May I invite now comments from Tinmar Hetwe from Myanmar, please? Tin from Myanmar, please. Okay, in that case,
maybe we can invite Dr. Chomo Hu, the Director General of Myanmar, to provide a few comments.
Please.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello.
Yes,
Okay, this tema is the coming for.
Yeah, please.
Hello. Sorry. Thank you very much, sir. Firstly, I would like to the thanks the Ryan's and all of the EC member or the chef and our working crew member or the chef. I very happy to join this chat meeting. We got a lot of the information and a lot of the very comprehensive information and presentation from all of our partner. We are trying to develop our early warning system and our NMH has the information. We need a lot of the technology and other information from our regional partner, because we are trying to develop our forecasting system. We need to integrate our observation system and also our focus for the impact base. Also, we need to develop we not yet implement the impact forecasting system, and also our department need to upgrade our NWB system also. So our state need to our human resource and technical information. So we need to our department request to all of the Warpan and the Rhines and our regional partner. Please please give the other capacity building and the information and technology. Also we hope that a lot of the information technology from this chef meeting. And thank you very much all of our EC and the working group member or chef. Thank you.
Thank you. Now may I invite Mr. Abdul Mannan for his comments, please. Abdul Mannan, please.
Ramesh, maybe we can come back to our DC members. We have online both Ali and Ali Sharif from Maldives or Cholo from Myanmar.
Yeah, I'll invite now Ali Sharif for his comments, please.
Thank you, Chair. Do you hear my voice?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you, and good day to you all. As a AEC member, I found that, and I'm very happy to note that the forum is being held very well, and these 3 days deliberations were very useful to countries to share their experience, and also to learn from the developed countries and plan developing countries to plan ahead. We were being informed of several new services and new features and new data sets available in different platforms, and we can use them in future to while we do our routine work to upgrade and improve the forecasting services and data receiving services. I think my colleague from Maldives also mentioned about the other aspects of working group. So I think 3 days forum was fruitful, and I'm happy about that. Thank you.
Wonderful, Dr. Ali Sharif. May now request DG Myanmar for his comments, please.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I would like to be sincerely thanks for all of the panelists, moderator, and organizer. This 4-day meeting is a very fruitful discussion, and we have a lot of knowledge. I attended of the third meeting is the first time. We have a lot of knowledge for this meeting, and I would like to be congratulated of all of the organizer for the successful of the that SAHF meeting. Thank you very much.
Briefly, comments from Sarfraz, please.
Yes, please. Thank you very much. First of all, I should admit the lot of effort put in by Rhymes and whole team. We are very much thankful to them, and it has been wonderful experience for last 4 days. We have learned quite a bit, especially in the form of socioeconomic benefits of the med services which we are rendering. If we can quantify that, that will be grateful. This was something something particularly new for I think maximum people. Then public-private partnership, we have heard from experts, from experienced people that it can benefit the med services also, and if we can bring the investment from private entrepreneurs, then med services can benefit from that. Then we have heard also about the cloud computing and GPUs. If that thing can replace the high cost at PCCs and things like that, that will be very helpful. And it's very much encouraging that regionally people are ready to cooperate with each other, to share the knowledge, to share the data, to share the experience. So overall, thanks to Rhymes and all organizers, and thanks to people who have come in from ECMWF, from UK Met Office, from even US, and all across the world. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thanks, learned and distinguished EC members and contributors and participants for giving very valuable response to our efforts. Very grateful to you all. Now I hand over back to Ramraj Narasimhan for taking the proceedings forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alice and Dr. Ramesh, for getting this feedback in a very interactive manner from a range of stakeholders. So if it's okay, I would like to hand it back to our MC to take us through to the next part of this session. Ruby?
Thank you very much, Ramraj, for facilitating, and Dr. Ramesh and Dr. Alice for moderating the feedback and comments from the participants. It's heartwarming to note the feedback, the very positive feedback from the participants moving onward on SAHF. We are all looking forward to this next discussions vis-a-vis what's next for SAHF. On the way forward, I invite Ms. R.T. Bell, Senior Disaster Risk Management Specialist, World Bank, Dr. Mrutyunjay J. Mohapatra, Director General of Meteorology, India Meteorological Department, and Mr. A.R. Subaya, Director Rhymes, on their thoughts on the way forward. Each has 10 minutes to deliver their thoughts. First one to you, Ms. R.T. Bell.
Thank you, Ruby, and thank you very much to all the SAHF members. It's truly a great pleasure to me personally. I've been as the regional coordinator for the World Bank South Asia Hydromet programs. I've been involved in this work for several years now, and it's really heartwarming to see how SAHF is building better and better with every new initiative and every new activity going forward. This partnership is really getting stronger. I was wondering if the presentation could be shown. Yes, if it could be, yeah. I wanted to take us back a little bit for many of us who were there in the original event, where this commitment was made to put together the forum, right? To come together as a forum and to put it. And we just want to take a minute for all of us to refamiliarize us about how this was done and why. The idea is very much to improve the coverage and quality of the services for the people, strengthen the sort of transform really the technical and institutional frameworks and systems and institutions for delivering those services, and noting that partnerships are essential to be able to deliver that, because none of this can be done in an isolated way. But very critically and almost with a lot of foresight, the forum noted that this agenda is front and center for climate resilient development. Next slide, please. The second event, the forum committed to deepening this engagement, and it was a richer, broader discussion with much more active participation from the members. And the priority areas were identified then. And I look back and I noticed that we are on track. So from the comments and conversations in SAHF-III, we see that these priorities are very much the right ones, and that there is a continued need to focus on these priorities, as well as to look at issues of harmonization of how is becoming more and more important, right? The what has been clearly defined or identified, but it is very much on the how that we are focusing on in our current discussions. The SAHF-II also led to the structures being initiated and put in place, and we now have very established mechanism under SAHF to be able to strengthen the initiative, to implement initiatives, whether as development partners, as client countries, as NMHSs, agencies, user stakeholders, and so on. Next slide, please. I want to also take a moment to reflect on what was said earlier in the previous session about policies, processes, and people. And if you look at that, the value chain, the Hydromet value chain, which for quite a few decades now, I think it was in 2009 or something, where this value chain was really brought to the fore. And since then, it has been discussed. But the value chain almost seemingly starts with data and ends with the user. And I would like to posit to you that we think of quite radically and turn it the other way around, right? Start with the people. The needs of the people are quite clear. And the value of delivering those services to the people is even clearer. As current research Abhas was mentioning global data when he was talking about what $1 invested leads to benefits. But in South Asia, based on very, very current research, the value shown is $1 invested leads to $6 to $13 in South Asia. And this is on a very, very conservative estimate. So we know that the value is very clear. And we know that the focus has to be on the users, because as you can see, the stakeholder perception is key to achieving this value, and the quality of services is key to generating that value. And the three scenarios represent very well what are some of the ways of achieving the value. when agencies invest and develop on themselves, they do improve the quality and Hydromet, the value in Hydromet services. But they can do even more so when they look at, when countries can look at it from a country point of view and not, and sort of beyond looking at the partners within the country, including closer dialogue and engagement with users, with public-private partnerships, with academia playing a very key role in terms of research, in terms of operationalizing innovation. And then, of course, in parallel and not subsequent or not sequentially, the regional partnership, which clearly shows how much regional collaboration can help in strengthening what countries can deliver to users. Next slide, please. If I can take you then to SAHF-III, we are still under SAHF, the three pillars are very much front and center. One is on the regional engagement. And as you see, we've been delivering as a group very much on that. Having this kind of forum, all of us together and going forward, hopefully periodically and also on an annual basis and hopefully in person would be excellent. But the other pillars of SAHF, which are sort of developing, which are coming up faster, is the regional Hydromet and climate services information. I think we are calling it in different names, whether it's a data exchange portal, it is the the common information platform, different names, but fundamentally the same mechanism to share data for better forecasting, for improving the models, the access to models, the use of model outputs, and sort of strengthening that piece of it. The third is a pillar, which is very critical, is the regional capacity building and what we call the systemic training. And here capacity building has been mentioned many, many times in the feedback. I would like to caution this group. It can mean many things to many people and almost everything. But within SAHF, I would suggest that we focus on very much systematic targeted training that can actually help us deliver the services. So keeping the user very much front and center and focusing on what is the capacity needed to deliver those services to that user group, to those users. And the third, sort of the three pillars then lead to sort of two areas for attention. One is, what do we think in terms of regional and country-based investments, and what kind of commitments can each of the countries make, and what are commitments needed at the regional action level? But if I can leave you with one word, which is not a very fancy word, but it is optimization, which is that from regional collaboration, we can do better with existing data, we can do better in generating new data, we can do better in using new data to access, to improve the products. We can use those data better for users and stakeholders. Through this kind of forum, we can allow for better mechanisms to be put in place in country, not necessarily new mechanisms, but using these existing mechanisms, but in better ways to be able to deliver across this kind of stakeholder engagement and at the regional level. And finally, we can, and very critically, we can optimize investments both in country and potentially in the future at the regional level. One fundamental problem that the World Bank faced when we were supporting many of the country level investments. When you go to a country and you say, look at all these investments that have happened in 30 years, and you want to see how much of it is sustained, how much of it is carrying on. And that it really breaks one's heart to know how much money in a resource scarce part of the area is going is just lost for one reason or the other, whether it was capacity, whether it was not really the right technology or operations and maintenance, but the lack of that strong sustainability is a canary in the coal mine, saying something was not working right in the way the approach was done. And so if I can leave you with one image, I would say, let's build a full bridge, not many half bridges, quarter bridges, and three-quarter bridges. Let's start with building a bridge and with using SAHF to move towards that, beyond any kind of project-based approach, but building a real complete engagement that allows us as a group to deliver better services to the region. I'll stop there and pass this on to Dr. Mahapatra to ask him to reflect more on what are the specific areas that we can use now through that comes out of SAHF-III for us to focus on in the next immediate future. Thank you. Dr. Mahapatra, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Aarti. Good afternoon to all of you. I congratulate all the members of SAHF, delegates participating in this program for this huge success. For the last 3 to 4 days, we have been discussing about various aspects of South Asia Hydromet Forum 3, the roles and responsibilities of various organizations, NMHS, and individuals. And I'm very happy to note that we have come up a long way to frame up the objective and also to expect certain outcomes out of the deliberations through South Asia Hydromet Forum. As it has been pointed out by many during their presentations and deliberations, South Asia Hydromet Forum is very much essential, and it has been proved to be a forum to enhance the capacity of all the countries in this region to provide better services with respect to all types of hydrometeorological sectors, especially the severe weather and high impact weather. So as we listen to Dr. Aarti, I will just following up from our presentation to tell you what we can expect from the deliberations which has been carried out during last 3 to 4 days. So I will request to share my presentation. Yeah. So this small presentation will be just summarizing the various voices which has been raised during this last 3 days deliberations, and also bring out some kind of future directions in terms of the expected outcomes. Next slide, please. So if you just look at the various activities of South Asia Hydromet Forum and the scope and vision as decided earlier, basically we want to leverage the significant commitment from institutions and partners working in this region. All regions should work together and should have a commitment to improve the early warning, which includes monitoring, predictions, generation of sector-specific informations, and communication to the various stakeholders and general public. And that could be possible with the leveraging from all the individual participating agencies. And hence, we can expect as a significant outcome that leverage significant commitment from the institutions and partners working in this region. The second one is that this deliberation reiterated the need for integrating efforts to enhance actionable weather and climate services to protect lives and yield economic benefits. When I say actionable weather and climate services, that means basically the impact-based forecast and warning services. Not only that, that information should be communicated in such a way that it is easy to understand, easy to access, easy to take actions. The deliberations also acknowledged that South Asia Hydromet Forum is a vital and ongoing process in South Asia region. It will continue for a long time into the future. Next slide, please. So while analyzing the various priorities as discussed during last 3 days, what we find that there are specifically 4 priorities. The priority number 1 is to enhance the observations and its integration into the forecasting system. That means we have to improve the observational network in the South Asian region collectively by contributing the exchange of observed data through this forum, so that we will be in a better position to detect and monitor all types of weather events, especially the severe weather events. Not only that, the collection and communication of these real-time observational data will help in improving the initial status of the numerical weather prediction models and hence the forecasting. At the same time, also, we can go back to have an archival of the past data so that we can understand the various characteristics of the severe weather and correlate with the impacts realized in different states, so that each and every country will have a better understanding of the impacts and action required for the severe weather in the region. So while doing so, therefore, there is a need to invest on a robust regional data exchange mechanism for the full use of additional data in forecasting system, post-processing, and above the value addition for better service delivery. Next slide, please. So priority 2 is to address the user needs through tailor-made products leveraging collective strength. So no dearth of high-resolution forecast data from global models, regional models, and global centers, regional centers, and of course the WMO centers. Collaborative efforts and resources vital to post-processing and tailor forecasting for different country or sector requirements. So if you just look at whatever we have deliberated during last 3 days, that there are many agencies who have a large amount of high-resolution model forecasts. But we do not have a sufficient robust platform where we can analyze or post-process all these model forecasts and tailor it for the various sectoral applications in this South Asia. So therefore, the priority 2 addresses this point. And to carry out this, there could be an approach like this, that to set off a South Asia consortium for data and weather predictions, economic scope, blending with cutting-edge technological advances and conventional techniques through South Asia Hydromet Forum regional cloud computing, storage, networking services, infrastructure, with investment by pooling of resources. So we suggest the pooling of resources in the sense that everybody will have a claim, everybody will be a partner, and therefore it will be everybody's interest to develop, utilize, and also apply this status for the benefit of the collective strength and for the benefit of the civil weather services. Next, please. So priority 3 is based upon the priority 1 and priority 2. Once from priority 1, you have got the augmented observational state-of in the real time and the understanding of the impact based on the past data. The priority 2 will address to the additional post-processing to the model outputs available in the region from various national and international agencies. And then priority 3 will try and will provide an impact-based forecast, which is the buzzword throughout the world now. This impact-based forecast is nothing but an unifying approach for better service delivery or actionable service delivery. So here, while we go for impact-based forecast, it will need not only the improvement of observation and modeling, what we have discussed as priority 1 and 2, but also it will need some kind of R&D to have the understanding of the relationship between the hazard, vulnerability, exposure, and hence the risk. To address all these things, the first and foremost step will be to have an institutional framework. The institutional framework will connect the NMHS with the various sectoral institutions within the country and also with the different countries and the forum like RIMES who can leverage the development of this institutional mechanism. Further, while going for impact-based forecast, we'll need a decision support system for each and every sector, with which we can have a comparison, comprehension, and analysis of observations and model forecasts to have the real-time assessment of the information on weather and climate. At the same time, it will have the leverage to access the information on climate, secondary hazards, tertiary hazards, and hence the vulnerability and exposure conditions. And finally, in a geospatial platform, the DSS will enable to provide a decision with respect to impact-based forecast. And this impact-based forecast has to be provided certain key sectors. We may think about, say, for example, hydrology sector, disaster management sector, or agriculture sector, or something which can be identified by the forum. Next, please. So while we prioritize the actions for 1, 2, 3, to carry out these priorities, 1, 2, 3, there is a need, an urgent need for capacity development, because capacity development is the backbone. There will be need for not only the enhancing the capacity in terms of machines or computing power or exchange of informations, but also there will be need for capacity building in terms of training. There will be need for training with respect to observational techniques, modeling, post-processing, forecast development, impact-based forecasting, and also the sectoral applications. So therefore, design and implementation of the capacity development across all components of the information value chain will be essential, and that can be taken as a way forward. So I will stop here. The action plan with respect to priority 1, 2, 3, 4, as you discussed now, will be discussed by Dr. Subaya-san. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mahapatra. I'm audible.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Hardibele, World Bank. It's our pleasure and also a kind of a gratefulness to all the stakeholders of SHF Forum to entrust this responsibility to RIMES to work with the EC members and working group members to understand the strategy of the Executive Council of Executive Committee of South Asia Hydromet Forum. The strategy is very clear, and as Dr. Mahapatra indicated there, and also in the previous presentation, Dr. Artipalli also outlined and also reflected the need for addressing these issues in a systematic way. So this action plan that I'm going to present takes from the learnings of the last 3-4 days of deliberations from across the globe, region, countries, and also the community level perspectives. And this particular forum is enriching because integration is the word. Integration is a common kind of thing which we are very excited about this. Integrating global, regional, national, subnational, local level kind of actions and processes to make some difference at the community level. Very correctly, this forum was designed from bottom-up approach, from the downstream value chain to the upstream value chain process, so that upstream value chain will be designed based on the downstream demands and needs. So this is the integration from upstream and downstream value chain. First integration. Second, most very important integration is bringing the whole of integration to address all the gaps in the entire value chain. All the research is not used for improving operational forecast. All the data is not used for improving operational forecast. All the improved forecasts are not being integrated into the impact forecast systems. All the improved impact forecast systems are not integrated into tailor-made services. All the tailor-made services are with generated are not, there are gaps in reaching out to communities and get a feedback. So integration is a very key theme of SHF to bring all this process into one system to ensure that ultimately the client, the customer, the user gets a benefit out of the whole thing. So in the process, like Artipalli mentioned, integration is for what? Integration is for optimization of resources, optimization of energy, and also optimization of institutional strength and processes to get a highest efficiency with a societal commitment. So that is where the SHF Forum contributes to a great extent in the process. We are very happy about it to be part of this forum. And now it is action plan is the one which, as Dr. Mahapatra mentioned, this particular action plan is taken from the strategy of Executive Council in the last 6-7 months of working group process and this. So this is an ongoing process. It will take some kind of dynamics. Whatever we are just seeing today may not be a kind of may not be relevant. All the working groups, teams, and all what we are defining today may not be relevant tomorrow. So it's a dynamically evolving process. But as Dr. Mahapatra mentioned, we should have a measurable targets in the immediate future to ensure that we really mean in a kind of a process that really benefits our countries. So in this context, the priority one is enhanced observation and integration into forecasting. The data exchange platform and the data accommodation is the one key element came from all the 3-4 days of our deliberations. Already RIMES, NHMS, and RIMES, ECMWF have established a data exchange platform, and that platform provides a kind of integration of data, local data, and quality check data into global models. And in turn, global models provide high resolution forecast to the countries. So this system is now operational. Now it is very easy to achieve the target, it's a real-time data exchange within the region, 15% improvement, just an indicative figure, country level data. Suppose we have some 10 stations are sharing the data now, you can see that from the baseline, you can add more data so that year by year we can go that one. These things can be done within 6 to 9 months at time. And that kind of sharing data could really improve at least medium range forecasting 3 to 5 days to a considerable extent. So we can measure that that improvement also through verification, etc. So there is also, like Dr. Bhavatra mentioned, historical data of extreme events in the past 5 years to be used to evaluate global weather forecasters, show value of additional data improving the past level for severe weather predictions. These are the immediate thing we can do within 3 to 6 months, because we already have a mechanism to take this process forward. Next slide, please. The priority 2 is address user needs through tailor-made services. As I mentioned earlier, when the more observation data and also historical data comes into the model, there could be improvement in the data assimilation process, and it could give better and better accurate forecast. So we can measure the baseline from current level, what is the level of accuracy, and how this improved integration of forecast could provide a better accuracy of forecast and also lead time, etc. So this could be done. I am going to tell in the last slide about some detail of the action plan within one year or so. Target 2 is establishing regional cloud computing, storage, networking services with investment by pooling of resources. So this is a kind of a process we work in a data platform to acquire, host more, share additional regional ensemble prediction products and all. This is possible in the immediate future. Immediately within 6 months, we can, within 1 month or 2 months, we can really come up with a feasibility study, which aspect of which dimension of regional computing will be more cheaper, operationally useful, what is the pros and cons, and what is the economy of scale. All these things can be done within the 2-3, actually we are aiming at within a month. Within 2 months, we can come up with a feasibility study for analyzing the optimum resource management for regional cloud computing resources. Next one, please. Like Dr. Pangabatra mentioned earlier, unless there is a national institutional mechanism available with the line departments participating in the system, the agriculture, water resources, public health, transport, etc. Unless the local data, the sectoral data comes to the NHMS and integration aspects, and also some research is done to integrate the exposure, vulnerability, and risk data into a impact-based forecasting. The prerequisite is a functional national institutional mechanism with the policy and commitment support from the institutions who are participating. This will be an incentive-based data sharing, because the NHMS could provide through impact-based forecasting a value-added services to the operational increase operational efficiency of the user departments. User departments in turn will provide data to share the data to get the more and more value-added services for their operational use. This incentive-based data management system, already we have established institutional mechanisms in the connecting user sector institutions in Bangladesh, called Bangladesh National Climate Application Center. That the presentation we have heard in the second day of the SAHF conference. Then we called RIME unit IMD for also providing impact-based forecasting to connect IMD data into exposure vulnerability data in all the states SDMAs and provide usable information to all the SDMAs. And we also have a Sri Lanka National Climate Application Center for co-production services covering almost all the some 26 sectors in the country. So there is already an institutional framework is there. Our target is now this kind of institutional mechanism will be strengthened, and also all the other countries, in other 6 SAHF countries, this kind of a mechanism will be established to connect, to ensure organic connection between the NHMS and the user departments, and in turn the communities who will receive the services. This will be done within 1 year, and RIMES will report to this achievement in the next SHF forum. Then we have we have measurable targets, like at least 3 sectors: agriculture, disaster management, and water resources. There will be TSS will be established for the increase the functional efficiency of these sectoral institutions connect with the NHMS. These already we are now done some nice kind of DSS in Orissa, Tamil Nadu state, and also, and we are the agriculture CSAM in Myanmar and other countries in India also. These particular kind of DSS and also flood forecasting DSS also in Myanmar, Nepal, and the Philippines, all these countries and all. Now, these it is within. I am putting a very conservative time frame. If the data sharing is very robust, we can all do it within 1 year. I'm just putting it 2 years because of the institutional framework is not in many places. That's why I'm putting a conservative. But if the institutional mechanism is in place, like we expect it within 1 year or so, this also can be done in parallel within 1 year and the report SHF. Next priority. Next slide, please. Then capacity building. You know, like Mahapatra mentioned, capacity building is across the entire value chain, from the data observation, data management, data integration, forecast, delivery, and also impact forecasting, tailor-made services, and all. As I mentioned earlier, there are gaps in everywhere. So to address the gaps, we need to have a systematic training, like R.T. Belli mentioned, of understanding the current the kind of gaps in the training processes and how we can make use of it to improve it. So both the training opportunities will be for NHMS at least 30% from the current baseline, and also at least 20% of staff for user sector institutions in the coming years. I am putting a very conservative time from 2 to 3 years. Now already we have a SAHF work plan. In the SAHF work plan, we have this process like establishment of knowledge hub, establishment of training, curriculum modules and all. We can fast track this kind of process within 1 year or 2 years or so. We can bring in a systematic training, and that training will make a huge difference. Only we have all the resources, various training institutions available with the PMD, IMD, and COIS, and also other global centers like COMET and all. All these resources can be really brought in to tailor-made use of the sectoral institutions and NHMS. Here, integration is the key word. That integration will provide huge kind of very efficient capacity building process that will be done now. Next slide, please. There will be a process by which we can periodically have an online meeting with the Executive Council and also our working group members to pursue these targets with a detailed action plan. And we plan to have a detailed action plan within 1 month of EEC meeting to provide a detailed action plan, get the endorsement, and try to implement it right in the next January 2022. And the target 2 is we'll give we hope to give a kind of very a report, which is functional report, and the EC members really wanted to have what actually being done is more important than what actually we are discussing about all this. So that report will be a no-nonsensical report that will give a complete a kind of assessment of what has been done in the between SHF-III and 4 and how that can be taken forward later. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is just telling that I mentioned to you a detailed action plan and all. I have already mentioned about I mentioned about all this, but this is a kind of immediate action that we will take in the next 1 year. Keeping in view our SHF work plan, already SHF work plan provides resources, and also the CARE project by World Bank also give resources for establishing DSS, and also we have received a kind of support from UNESCAP and also USAID is for tailor-made services and also institutional capacity building there. So all these resources can be pooled and we can bring out a nice program. Resource is not a now constraint, only the kind of integration of these kind of processes there. I thank USAID, UNESCAP, World Bank, ARC programs to bring this as a reality. And I have seen some of the very good points came from the discussions from the ADB, Southeast Europe experiences, and also Green Climate Fund. All this thing provides a kind of impetus to us, saying that they all try to have leverage existing capacities of the regional institutional mechanism to push these kind of program forward. So already we have a strategy defined by our EC. Our working group members are providing a kind of huge support for providing a kind of action plan implementation process. Will ensure that next, when we come to next SHF, we can provide a great report. So this is what I wanted to say. I take this opportunity to thank Aarti Bellia and her team for providing a kind of, how do I say, I think they didn't sleep for at least for 1 week. There is no day and night for them. They have given a huge kind of support to RIMES to organize this conference. And also EC members, working group members, they've given a huge support by their involvement, and particularly EC Chair, Dr. Mahapatra, and Vice Chair, Dr. Karma Tipchu, for to take this kind of forward. I thank my team, Dr. Sini, Dr. Ramesh, Ansul, and Ruby Rose, Ramaraj, and all our, there's a new entry in Abuzan. All these people really worked very hard to make this happen. I am confident with the team from World Bank and from the RIMES, we will be able to move it, take it forward, and live up to your expectations. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Aarti Bellia, Dr. Mrityunjay Mohapatra, and Mr. A.R. Subaya for your rich thoughts on the way forward for SAHF. Indeed, we look forward to a continually improving weather and climate services in South Asia that is responsive to the ever-evolving user requirements. The strong commitment of SAHF stakeholders makes SAHF a well-positioned nexus for setting the direction for onward and continuous development of operational forecasting and service delivery in the region.
Yeah,
As
one second, sorry, I am very unconventional. Sorry.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
I have to now especially thank IT team Hitesh and his team behind the show, behind all the screen or whatever it is, and they made all the difference of making the program success. I thank all of them. Thank you so much. Okay,
thank you very much, Mr. Subaya. Yes, again, indeed, we thank all the technical work going on behind the scenes. Without those work, many things would be impossible. So thank you very much again, Hitesh and team. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we close SAHF-III, we again thank everyone for valuable participation and contributions to completing the various sessions, and the European Union, the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, and the World Bank for the support. Ladies and gentlemen, we close with high spirits and roll our sleeves for more work. Stay safe, everyone, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Please visit the event webpage or communicate with our team for further updates of the forum, proceedings, reports, and others relevant to SAHF. As usual,
sorry to interrupt. Is it possible to confirm that the recordings will be available on the YouTube site so that everyone can access it? And also, if we can take one last photograph, if there are people who are willing to turn on their video, it would be nice to have everybody. Thank you.
Indeed, Aarti. The recordings are available via YouTube. Our team will be sending the link so everyone can access these recordings. And yes, indeed, we will take a group photo. So please everyone turn on your video for the group photo, and requesting Itesh and team to inform us once the photo has been taken. So Itesh, are we done? Are we done?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Itesh. Thanks so much, everyone, for all the hard work. It has been a very good SAHF-III. Again, please visit the event webpage or communicate with our team for further updates, the proceedings, and others relevant to the forum, the recordings, etc. We will be glad to communicate with you on how to access the forum materials. And as usual, Itesh and team is administering the session poll. So please, before we leave this meeting, please provide your inputs to the poll. Again, thank you so much, everyone.